What do people not realize has an extremely low chance of happening? People often overestimate the chance of a plane crash, but the odds are about 1 in 11 million for a commercial flight. Someone I'm close to has a pretty extreme phobia of flying, and the only thing that helped, besides just forcing themselves to be exposed to it, were YouTube videos and podcasts by pilots that explain in detail all the ways that flying is actually very safe. There are some that explain what each noise you hear means, what turbulence actually does and how the planes are built to withstand it, etc. Planes have so many redundant safety features that we don't realize are there, that the risks are very low. It helps a lot to know. Every rule in aviation was written in blood. Many people made tragic mistakes, and that's why it's so safe now. Every rule in aviation was written in blood. That's absolutely true, but maybe it's not the first thing we should say to people who are afraid of flying. The most tragic mistake in aviation has to be the 1995 Aeroflot flight where the pilot allowed his 16-year-old son fly the plane. He duly put it into an uncontrollable spin and it crashed into some mountains, killing all 75 people on board. All those lives lost over such stupidity. Being killed by a serial killer. I was a sociology major in college, and in my deviant behavior class, this is what my teacher said at the beginning of a lesson about serial killers: none of you will be killed by a serial killer. I'm telling you as a statistician that the likelihood of it is nil. Even the most prolific of serial killers' victims make up a fraction of a percent of people who die from murder. Sadly, you are much more likely to be killed by someone you know. Same goes for sexual assault and trafficking. It's actually very unlikely to be a stranger. Does anyone really think they have a remotely high chance of being killed by a serial killer, though? Middle-aged women who spend all day watching Dateline. Have you ever watched Dateline? It's almost always the husband or an ex. Hollywood stealing your idea because you told someone in a bar it'd be cool if Batman fought Deadpool. Random child abductions are extremely rare, most of the time it's one of the parents. Of course you should teach your kids stranger danger, but the way some parents behave, they think there's kidnappers hiding behind every bush. Or the way random people try to scold and shame parents with this nonsense. Like, no, a random kidnapper isn't going to snatch my kid off the front porch while I set my bag just inside my front door. But thanks for trespassing onto my property to lecture me. Surviving after CPR. It's roughly 7 to 10% if you're outside the hospital, and even less when you're a senior citizen. It's also very brutal, as many people aren't prepared to see 200-pound men putting their body weight onto grandpa and grandma's chest, breaking all their ribs, instead of just letting them pass peacefully. I accidentally drowned in 2020. My husband found me and got me out of the pool and started CPR. I came to about 20 minutes later. I have some brain damage, but I am lucky as fuck. The pool was cold, so that helped. Learning the statistics after was sort of mind-blowing. What kind of brain damage, if you don't mind me asking? It's an anoxic brain injury. I have memory issues, neuropathic problems in my legs and feet. I just started having seizures this year that they think are caused by it. They don't know what new things will pop up, just kinda roll with the punches. All things considered, I got off really light. I could be a vegetable or not even here. Being thrown from a car during an accident and coming out unharmed. I know people to this day that don't wear seatbelts because they think it's safer to be thrown out. Do they also leave their house by smashing through the window? Actually coming out ahead in gambling, if you do it often enough. Of course, anyone with a decent brain knows that typical gambling is negative value every time, but if you do it often enough, it's even less likely that you'll come out ahead. As the number of events being looked at approaches infinity, the outcome will approach the mean, which is negative value. That's one reason why if you put on a cheeky bet and end up winning, just quit while you're ahead. Or don't bet in the first place. It's fine if you can consider it an entertainment expense, but all too many people try to use that as a justification when the truth is that they're really hoping to buck the odds, and the maths doesn't care about how much you wish it would bend to you. I love this story. I've gambled exactly once. Went to a casino with my wife, we each spent $10 on a dollar slot machine, I think. Whatever the max one-time bet is, and my wife won a couple bucks, coming out at like $15 or so. She looks at my machine and asks if I spun yet. Well, yeah, I think. It hadn't stopped yet. Just kept going and going until I thought I'd messed something up and it had gone to a demo mode or something. Nope, it kept hitting free spins until I cashed out like $400. Well, that'll never happen again. Let's go get some food. Becoming an internet influencer. Becoming an internet influencer that makes enough money to make it as full-time career. OF is different category altogether. Child abduction or sexual assault by strangers, statistically speaking, family members and friends of family make up for 80% of all reported child sexual assault cases, csacenter.org. UK to blog what the new ONS Child Abuse Compendium tells us. Growing up I was sure that grown-ups were constantly on fire, sinking in quicksand, and offering free drugs to every kid they see or sticking if in random pieces of candy. Winning the lottery, but hey, a girl can dream, right? Making a living from YouTube or playing video games. Crowded restaurant in a foreign country, stranger eating alone offered to share their table, found we had mutual friends. Your 11-year-old becoming a professional baseball player. Shuffling a deck of cards and it being in the same order as any other deck shuffled since the deck of cards was invented. 52 is a tremendously large number. A person could shuffle cards from now till the heat death of the universe, and there would likely never be two legitimate shuffles producing the same sequence exactly. Despite there being math to support it, every time I hear this fact, there is some part of me that has trouble accepting it as true. A third party ever winning an election in the US. Fetch.